Hey, what's up guys, Will here for GSM Arena, and I'm here today with two mid-range phones, the Redmi Note 8 and the Note 8T. They're basically two versions of the same phone for different markets, but what makes them special, and are they worth getting? Let's find out in our full review. The Note 8 and Note 8T are mid-range phones going for a budget price. Each version is for a different market. There are a few small differences in design, and besides the looks, there are a few details to keep track of. The Note 8 is for Asian markets, and has an option for a higher 6 gigs of RAM. It has a notification LED, and comes with a 10-watt charger in the box. The Note 8T, on the other hand, is sold in Europe, and has NFC. It comes with a faster 18-watt charger in the box, but it's a little bit pricier. Nevertheless, both are pretty inexpensive phones, but you wouldn't be able to tell at first glance. They are built from Gorilla Glass and have a dazzling gradient finish. Only on close inspection would you be able to tell that the frame is made of plastic, not a more premium material. While there is no official waterproofing, there is a nano coating on the internals, so these phones can survive a splash or two. And while they are slippery and will wobble on a desk, the Note 8 and Note 8T come with a silicone case in the box, which can remedy the situation. Both devices have similar 6.3-inch IPS LCD screens. There's a 1080p resolution, and a dot notch cutout for the selfie cam. Quality is pretty good here for an LCD. Blacks look nice, and you have good max brightness. The Note 8 gets up to 470 nits, and up to 630 nits in auto mode in bright sun, and the Note 8T is quite close to that. The colors on both panels look good, and if you go into the color settings, you can either make them pop or tune them to be extremely accurate. The Note 8 has a white notification LED which will let you know when you need to check your phone. However, this is missing on the Note 8T. Bummer. Waking up the phones is quite easy though, with the rear-mounted fingerprint scanner. Both are responsive and always ready for waking up and unlocking. The phones have expandable storage through the triple card slot, on top of the 32, 64, or 128 gigs built in. For your audio, there is a single bottom firing speaker, which uses a sound chamber for some extra amplification. Both phones scored an excellent mark in our loudness tests, and quality is good, though bass and higher tones are still a bit lacking. You can plug in headphones with the 3.5mm jack, though audio quality here isn't great. There is a fair amount of distortion, and stereo separation leaves more to be desired. Loudness is good though, and you get FM radio. At the time of this review, the Redmi Note 8 is running MIUI 11 over Android 9 Pie, while our Note 8T is still on MIUI 10, but we expect it to catch up soon. Still, both get dark mode. It gives a dark aesthetic to your menus, but since the screen is an LCD, it won't save you any battery. Both interfaces are almost the same. There's no app drawer, and swiping over to the left will give you access to a bunch of shortcuts. Like other Xiaomi devices, there's an IR blaster up at the top, which you can use to control appliances with. Once in a while, you may get a banner ad inside one of the onboard apps, like the File Manager or the Security app, but it's rare and isn't a big deal. At the heart of both phones is the same Snapdragon 665 chipset, which is new this year, and built on an 11nm process. In GPU benchmarks, performance is great, among the best for this price range. We saw no overheating either. However, the GPU's performance is actually a slight downgrade from the Snapdragon 660, even though this one is more power efficient. Still, with most games, you wouldn't notice any problems. Both the Redmi Note 8 and Note 8T are powered by a 4000 mAh battery. Unsurprisingly, when we ran our proprietary tests, they both earned the same excellent score of 108 hours. Like I mentioned before, while both phones support 18-watt quick charging, they are bundled with different chargers. This leads to different charging times out of the box. The 10-watt charger fills 30% of the battery in half an hour, while the 18-watt charger gets you up to 45% in the same amount of time. The Redmi Note 8 and Note 8T pack the same quad camera setups. There's a 48-megapixel quad Bayer main cam, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide cam, a 2-megapixel macro camera, and a depth sensor. The image quality from the main camera is very good. It saves 12-megapixel images by default, and these have plenty of detail, low noise levels, and true-to-life colors. Dynamic range is wide too. We weren't such fans of the foliage rendition, but it's nothing too bad for this price range. There is a dedicated 48-megapixel mode, but what you get is not a real 48-megapixel image, but simply an upscaled one. with no benefits whatsoever. You do get a benefit from the fact that the sensor is so large though. 2x zoom shots look quite good, even though this is digital and not optical zoom. Portrait shots are decent if you have good lighting. In the right conditions, you can get photos with nice detail and good subject separation. The 8-megapixel ultra-wide snapper captures okay photos. Contrast is alright, but the overall shot is soft and dynamic range is limited. But for the price, it's not that bad. Here are a couple of 2-megapixel samples from the dedicated macro camera. Unfortunately, these are far from impressive. Detail isn't that great, the corners are soft, and the center isn't that sharp either. At night, the Redmi Note 8's main cam does a great job. The noise reduction especially hits that sweet spot between reducing a majority of the noise and leaving some fine detail intact. The night mode is quite conservative, like on other Xiaomi phones, acting more like HDR in that it restores most clipped highlights. It also removes a bit of the noise, but the overall image isn't much brighter. Each shot takes a few seconds, and we like the results. Low-light images from the ultra-wide are actually not that bad. They still aren't great, but there is some usable detail, and the exposure isn't too dark. There is no night mode here. The Note 8 and Note 8T have a 13-megapixel front-facing camera with fixed focus. We were impressed here. Selfies are excellent with great detail, pleasant contrasts and colors, and wide dynamic range. Now on to videos. Video capture from the main camera can be done in up to 4K at 30 FPS, though 60 FPS is said to be coming in a future update. The video quality isn't particularly great. Dynamic range is mediocre, and detail is poor due to the aggressive noise reduction. At least you get little noise, and the contrast and colors are nice. You can opt for electronic stabilization, which works well to smooth out your videos, but it's only available in 1080p. Videos from the ultra-wide cam are in up to 1080 at 30 FPS, and they also have poor detail. The color rendition is a bit different than that from the main cam. So that's the Redmi Note 8 and the Note 8T. With either phone, you get a well-balanced mid-ranger with a shiny build, a large and bright LCD screen, excellent battery life, and good performance. Plus, those still photos you can take are pretty impressive. As far as downsides go, video recording isn't great, and it's a bummer that the Note 8 only has a 10-watt charger, but that's reflected in the price, so it's not so bad. The Note 8 is going for around 10,000 rupees, and the Note 8T about 180 euros. It's surprising how much phone you get for the money, and these are definitely worth considering. Thanks for watching guys, and see you on the next one.